Oh my. Hello, everybody. I forgot to schedule today. Oh well, I'm here. Just didn't have it scheduled. Oh well, what do you do? I know. I have notes and everything. I prepared the entire show, and then Tyson reminded me. She goes, "Are you going live today?" Like 20 minutes ago, and I went, "Oh no." Bonjour, Audrey. Or Audrey. I don't know how you'd say it in French. I'm good, Mike. The voice is a little raspier today. I think it didn't help that we went 2 hours yesterday, so I'm going to avoid that today. But how's everybody doing? Thank you, Constance. We are here today for our regularly scheduled Ukraine news update, where I take about 20 minutes. Thank you, Mike. I take about 20 minutes and go through the latest news of the day. And then we do question and answer and discussion. Lately, we've been having a lot of discussion, actually, which has been really good because we've got a lot of you are military experts and a lot of you simply have opinions, which is also welcome. So we've been having a nice discussion all around on that stuff. So glad you guys have been joining in. Have a quick sip of water from my handy dandy Ukraine mug. Oh, Zena's back. That's good. That's very good. Anyway, guys, so thank you for those. As you guys know, anybody who's new may not know, I'm John Arvosis. I work in all sorts of different policy issues in Washington, D.C., including foreign policy. And today we're going to talk about Ukraine. I'm going to go about 20 minutes to give you guys the latest news. And then we're going to do question and answer, discussion, whatever you want. To submit questions to me, you on TikTok, you've got to go to my profile and use the Q&A box because TikTok removed it from the lives annoyingly. So don't know why. But go to my profile, hit the Q&A box. Otherwise, my mic is on. Oh, my mic isn't plugged in. My TikTok mic. There we go. There we go. Sorry, I had my electrical power. Boy, the voice did get worse today, didn't it? Wow, I was doing well yesterday. I think I talked too long. No, I had my power plugged into my iPad and I thought it was my microphone. Sorry, everybody. So yes, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to give you the news. YouTube, you guys know how to do it. Twitch, etc. Use the comment box. Super chat questions are always welcome. And for you guys, I love when you do the gifts. Love them, love them, love them. So I will always try to do a shout out if I see you doing the gift. Let me jump right in. So this has been very interesting. Amnesty International is our top story again for the third day. Thank you, Constance. Or I should say Constance. I'm used to knowing the name in French, so I say Constance. This has been really interesting. So Amnesty the other day publishes a report on Ukraine that caused a big controversy because they talked about how they claimed the Ukrainian military was putting civilians at risk by housing the military in civilian areas. For example, letting military sleep in schools, things like this. Well, the Ukrainians responded and said, you know, when we've got an aggressor who's trying to literally eliminate our entire country and he's taking over our cities, where else are we supposed to fight but in our cities, right? Well, the scandal starts to grow. Not just are Ukrainians pissed. The head of Amnesty International Ukraine quits her job over this. She says that she reviewed the report and told them it was one-sided. You can't publish it without changing it. They refused to change it. They published it over her objections. She's been running Amnesty Ukraine for 7 years now. Very interesting. Then, sorry, I've had a voice problem the last month, so you're going to hear me kind of doing my thing a lot. Then Amnesty Poland comes out and in essence criticizes the report yesterday. Today, you've got, oh God, Amnesty tried to clean things up. And of course, I swear to God, it reminds me of all the consulting work I've done over the years, where whenever a company gets into trouble, I always tell them, you know, or politics, same thing in politics, rip the bandage off, come clean. Don't do some half-assed, halfway kind of thing. This is my criticism, by the way, of how Biden has been handling Ukraine. I think he's doing it halfway. And I don't believe in halfway. Halfway gets you in trouble. Well, so get this. And YouTubers, some folks are complaining about mods over on TikTok. They say they could use a little bit of help, several people. So if one of you can go over there, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, I can monitor, but it's hard for me to read and monitor TikTok. So hang in there, TikTok. They're coming. So Amnesty puts out an apology. Okay, listen to this apology. Reuters reported on it. In an email to Reuters, Amnesty apologized, saying it regrets, quote, the pain caused by its report, but fully stands by its findings. So that would be me saying, okay, I apologize for the pain caused by me calling you the B word, but I fully stand by it. Is that an apology? Right? I mean, it sounds cute. It sounds cute. I mean, it's actually idiotic. And I'm not just trying to bash Amnesty here, because initially, remember, I was the guy originally who said, you know what? You got to kind of look at this carefully, because with a group like Amnesty, they're not partisan. They're supposed to go after our friends and our enemies. They're supposed to go after the United States when we have violations, right? So, I appreciate that. But in the situation they're in now, to put out an apology but stand by the report, then what are you apologizing for? I mean, you shouldn't apologize if you. It is passive aggressive. It's passive aggressive. Terry is saying on TikTok. It's also, I would say, it's somewhat actually LaShawn is saying over on Facebook, it's like, I'm sorry you feel that way, right? It's not an apology. It's also a little bit of gaslighting too, because what they're trying to do is make you think they're apologizing, but they're not apologizing. Rather than saying, look, I mean, or I guess you could just say, look, we're really sorry folks feel that way, but we stand by the report. That at least wouldn't sound as duplicitous. But hold on, I'm going to change down my temperature on my as always, my air conditioning in my Nest. I'm always going up and down, up and down. Here we go, up and down. Yeah, I think they dug a hole a little deeper this time. I got to tell you, it's not smart. It's not smart. Well, and again, and I'll go on now, but from a public relations perspective, you've just given, cute Max, from a public relations perspective, you've just given your critics another opportunity to jump on you by putting out such a half-aid statement. I mean, anyway, like I said, as a longtime activist as well on these issues, I would see a statement like this and I would rub my hands and go, oh my God, we're going to have so much fun with Amnesty, because now you got a chance to put out a press release and to piss people off. And now guess what's going to come next? I predict, I swear to God, we're going to move on. The next thing that's going to happen is Amnesty International is going to apologize for their apology. That's going to be the next thing. We're sorry if our apology hurt anybody. Oh my God. It's coming. It's coming. I still have a little bit of leftover cappuccino in my mug that I'm finishing. So yes. Times of London took them on, although I guess I'm not surprised because I'm not sure. Is the Times of London a little more conservative? I don't really know. I know of it historically, but I don't know from you British folks. Is it a conservative publication? Because the editorial took on Amnesty very angrily. The human rights charity shamefully castigates the victims of Russian aggression. And then they invoked, although some Ukrainians would differ on this, they say Amnesty International has learned nothing since it helped the Kremlin in 2021 by stripping jailed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny of his status as a prisoner of conscience. Now, let me say this. Amnesty screwed up. That was political from Amnesty, and that's bad. Because Navalny, right, he's the big opposition leader. A lot of Ukrainians don't like him, rightfully so. As I recall, he's one of the guys who defended the invasion and the annexation of Crimea, right? Oops, as I always like to show you guys on my t-shirt map, Crimea, the peninsula down here that the Russians invaded and stole in 2014. And then now they're claiming it's part of Russia, even though it's not. Navalny was defending that. He seems to be anyway, a lot of Ukrainians are not thrilled about honoring the man for that reason. I totally get it. But let me say this. He is a prisoner of conscience. He is an opposition leader. He is in jail for taking on the dictatorship, right? And for saying we should have more freedom. We should have free elections. That is a prisoner of conscience. And Amnesty removed his title because people were upset that he wasn't 100% pure. And that's not the way this works. And I say this in American politics too. The purity police are going to be the end of us. I mean, whether you're conservative or liberal, you can't get 100%, and you can't accuse people who aren't 100% of being bad because they're not 100%, or you're never going to get 100%. Anyway, let me move on. Oh, so we are talking about collaborators again. Annette is pissed. Annette says she just canceled her support for Amnesty. Honestly, I think it sends a message. I mean, I would say this: if you support Amnesty, you might want to cancel your subscription or your support. Let them know why, and then in a few months, if they clear things up, support them again. Remember, Amnesty was huge in taking on the Donald Trump's Muslim ban. Remember when he was banning like all Muslims from the Middle East and North Africa? Amnesty won those victories. They were huge. People poured their support into Amnesty as a result. So we shouldn't be demanding perfection either, so to speak. But I think we should demand contrition, meaning when a group like Amnesty screws up, they should admit it. And then if they admit it, and are contrite about it, then I'm willing to move on and say, give them your money again, right? So we shouldn't kill groups like Amnesty because they do good work, Anyway, let me move on. So collaborators, the partisans are doing really good work in Ukraine. We've talked about this before, especially in Kherson. Oops, hitting my mic. Kherson is the town and the province here that the Russians invaded and controlled. Just to remind folks, hang on, I'm gonna get rid of Annette's message so I can show you guys. Just to remind folks, the area the Russians control up here north of Kharkiv, east, down. Now, mind you, this is all Russia over here. So assume when I put my finger here, it means from here all the way to the border, right? So the Russians control this, more or less this. And when I start doing this, it's everywhere south as well. So this, just south of Zapariza, along the river, once you pass Nikopol, you go north of the river, down here, including Kherson, north of the river, and then, of course, everything south. So the big battle, maybe in the coming days, is going to be in Kherson and maybe even Zapariza. We've been hearing about the Ukrainian counteroffensive that's coming, possibly happening down here in Kherson, but the Russians are now afraid that it's also happening in Zapariza. So the Russians have moved a lot of their troops from out east, where the big battle is. They've moved their troops south now, here and here. So, they may know something. Well, especially in Kherson, which was the province most to the left, most to the west, the partisans, the Wolverines for the Americans, the resistance, the resistors, in other words, local citizens who are living under occupation, local Ukrainians who say, this is BS. I'm going to secretly work with Ukrainian intelligence, and I'm going to help them. And I'm going to get bomb making material from them, and I'm going to secretly put the bombs down and blow up either Russian officials who are running the occupation of my home, or I'm going to blow up Ukrainians. I'm talking as a partisan here. I'm going to blow up Ukrainians who are working with the Russian occupation and helping them do their job. Right? Well, in Kherson, they've been doing this a lot. I mean, the partisans have been kind of amazing how much they've stepped up. So I've got several examples here. I like the way this is phrased. This was from the Institute for the Study of War, that defense think tank I really like here in DC. Unknown people, who could it be now? Unknown people shot and killed the deputy head of the Russian administration in charge of housing and utility sector in Novakhovka in Kherson. Novakhovka is just east. What the heck? I happen to know where it is. I'm learning, it's funny, whenever wars break out, you learn all these strange cities you've never heard of before. I say strange, meaning to an American, we'd never heard of Novakhovka. So Novakhovka is going to be over here to the east of Kherson. So over here-ish. So the deputy head of the housing and utility sector for the Russians was shot and killed. On August 5th, so that was 2 days ago, he died in the hospital on August 6th. Russian military blogger Daniil Bezsonov claimed that Ukrainian partisans were responsible. Ukrainian Telegram channel Mariupol Now reports that partisans took responsibility for an explosion at the Russian-controlled police station in Berdyansk in Zapariza. I don't have Berdyansk in here, but I can tell you that the Zapariza region is more or less here, okay? Where my finger's circling, right? So Kherson over here, that first bombing or the first guy killed was here. Now you're talking about this region here. Took responsibility for an explosion at the Russian-controlled police station. The next report was on August 4th that Russian occupation forces harassed the staff of a construction materials store because in Kherson, because they were refusing to work for the Russian occupation. So these were not partisans in the sense of they weren't setting bombs and things, but this was an example of how the local citizens are simply refusing. I mean, they run a construction company and they're like, no. And the soldiers got pissed at them and they still said, no. I mean, you've got to love that from Ukrainians. I mean, some guy with a gun is telling you, you better do this. And they're going, go to hell, right? The Ukrainian Resistance Center also reports that attacks on August 6th, so yesterday, oh, this was funny. There were this is the part that made me laugh. I mean, if you can laugh about war, but you will laugh at this. And this shows you the heart of the Ukrainians, okay? The Ukrainian resistance put out a statement on August 6th and said, the Center for National Resistance, that's them, notes that collaborationism is bad for your health. It just made me laugh. I'm like, it's such an obnoxious, almost the kind of thing a little kid would say, but in a just, it just cracks me up. Collaboration is bad for your health. That was their comment. In response, this was interesting. Russian state media is now advocating for the introduction in Ukraine, in the occupied territories, of labor camps, repression, and the shooting of Ukrainian partisans and civilians who refuse to cooperate with the Russian appointed authorities. In other words, like that construction company, if they refuse to help the Russian troops, they should just be shot to death on the spot, is what Russian state TV. And keep in mind, Russia is now a full-fledged dictatorship. When the state television says this, it is with the approval of the government. They're not going to say things that the government would say, oh my God, right? Well, they better not say that, right? Generally speaking. I've got a little more here. What do we got? Yeah. In the outlet Komsomolskaya Pravda, the host Sergei Mardan encouraged an unnamed occupation authority person that he interviewed on his show. In other words, a Russian occupier who was in charge of the region. He was interviewed on the show, and the host advocated recreating gulags. Okay, they didn't even, I mean, they're literally using the word gulag. So the gulags, well, here we go. It even says in the story in Institute for the Study of War, the notorious Soviet prison labor camp system. So, right, the gulags were these prisons that were hard labor camps created for society's undesirables. But the undesirables were anybody who disagreed with you politically, intellectuals who spoke out, anybody who spoke out against the dictatorship could be sent to these gulags. And I mean, forget it. It's a hard labor camp where you die. It is akin to a Nazi labor camp. You work until you die. This is not somewhere where, in America, for example, we have prisoners work and they work on sewing machines and make license plates. This is literally, you work hard labor until you die. Said they should recreate gulags, confiscate private property. Oh, listen to this. And shoot local teachers and partisans for refusing to cooperate with the Russian authorities. So now they're also talking about shooting teachers. It is reason. I mean, Elise is saying resurrecting Stalin. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. Hang on a second right now. Now that's interesting. Sorry, getting back to Amnesty really quick. Jens is mentioning something from Twitter that somebody Now, Jens, in fact, did Amnesty refer to the what's been going on in Ukraine for the last 8 years as a civil war? Did they actually do that? Well, that's pretty bad if that's the case. Wow. Because it has not been a civil war. It's been the Russians invaded in 2014 in order to steal Crimea and in order to steal eastern Ukraine. And they've been basically paying people and supporting and people they even moved in there from Russia to basically try to break the province away, eastern Ukraine, forcibly and make it part of Russia, but make it look like, oh, all the Ukrainians love us, right? Yeah, that's why eastern Ukraine is fighting back and not even wanting to speak Russian anymore because they love the Russians so much. Let me move on. This was interesting too. A Russian opposition outlet reported that Russian forces are storing explosives and ammunition around the Zapariza nuclear plant. Remember, we talked about the plant. Hold on, I'm going to pull this up because it bothers me. I keep forgetting to pull up where this plant is on the map exactly. Right, hang on. All right. I'm going to pull it on the map and then I'll show you guys. It's been bugging me. Oh, it's kitty corner from Nikopol. Do I have Nikopol? I do have Nikopol. Oh, okay. So it's more or less right here on the map. Okay. Zapariza itself is over here. So it pretty much is across the river. It's across the river right south, I would say southeast across the river of Nikopol. There's Nikopol. So the Zapariza plant is right here and the Russians are occupying it. So it's on the Russian occupied side of the river. That's what's going on with that. So we've known that the Russians have been firing weapons from there at the Ukrainians, thinking that the Ukrainians rightfully will not fire back, right? We knew that, but now they're, listen to what they're doing now. Ooh. I had a tweet I wanted to read you in a second that I had on my first page of notes. I forgot, but let me finish this first. So a Russian opposition outlet reports that Russian forces are storing explosives and ammunition around the nuclear plant. The Insider, it's called, reported on August 5th that a source claimed Russian forces mined the turbine room of Energy Block 1 of the plant on or around August 2nd. A separate source claims that about 500 Russian soldiers, as well as armored personnel carriers and anti-aircraft guns, were stationed within the plant and that Russian forces mined the area around the plant. Let me now, because this is related in a sense, because we're talking about the Russians now using civilian facilities, which is what Amnesty accused the Ukrainians of doing. Mind you, one of the claims, I talked about this the other day, was that the Ukrainian troops had slept overnight in a school. Now, mind you, these troops are in this town. There's nowhere else for them to sleep. Amnesty suggested they should have slept in barracks. Except, they're soldiers. They're fighting a war. They're nowhere near barracks. It's not like they're visiting mom at home, They're soldiers. Listen to this. So in response to what Amnesty did, the Russian mission in Geneva, so in other words, the Russian United Nations mission in Geneva, Switzerland, puts out a statement, a tweet. Excuse me, listen to this. When a civilian is used for military purposes, it turns into a legitimate target for a precision strike. Ukraine continues to do it, but now even Amnesty can't handle it. Whenever the media shows you photos of a destroyed Ukrainian school or hospital, always ask who was inside. Now, here's the thing, and this is something that over the years I've said this about homophobes, for example, and about a lot of bad people out there. Bad people don't understand that they're bad. They don't understand that they're doing things that other people wouldn't do, right? A bigot thinks bigotry is normal. Therefore, they make bigoted comments and they don't even think when they say them. You know how you'll hear something and go, oh my God, oh God, I was on vacation in Indonesia once and we ran into some Oh, I'll say it, Australians. I'm sorry, Australians, if there's any Aussies on here. I love Australians, but the people that were in Bali were horrific. And we run into some Australians and these two couples. Oh, are you American? Yeah, we're American. Nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. And they started talking about blacks in America. Maybe this was 20 years ago. Maybe there was some thing that happened. I don't know, with the police, who knows? And they started talking about blacks in America, and they started using the N word. And I'm not going to tell you it's the N word, which is the horrifically racist word for black people. And my friend and I were both like, we don't use that word. It's really bad. Thinking, maybe they're foreigners and they don't know. And they turn and they go, oh, we know. It's just like Aboriginals in our country. They're our N words. And they kept going. And we're like, oh my God. The thing is, people who think this way don't think it's strange or wrong. So we were like cringing and dying and going, seriously, please don't use that word. And they're not getting it. Well, let me read this to you again. When a civilian, this is the Russian government statement. When a civilian is used for military purposes, a civilian building, it shows. Okay, it shows a building. When a civilian building is used for military purposes, it turns into a legitimate target for a precision strike. See, even Sasha whined on that one. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You're trying to tell me if there's military people inside a school that has children in it, it's a legitimate target to blow it up? If there's military people inside a working hospital, that there's people inside, you can blow it up? No, I mean, this statement is barbaric from the Russians. And literally, the Russians wrote this statement and they were high-fiving each other going, look at them now. Now we got the world. Because everybody knows, according to the Russians, that as soon as you put military inside a civilian facility, even if there's civilians, you can bomb the hell out of the place, because that's Russian policy. And they don't understand that that's not anybody else's normal policy. It's not American policy. It's not Ukrainian policy. The Ukrainian military doesn't sit there and go, for example, a nuclear plant. They don't go, well, the Russians are in a nuclear plant. Let's bomb it. Who cares? I mean, do you guys get what I'm saying? I mean, this is really offensive to me that they would say this, and it's really indicative of the mindset they've got, and how, as I've said before, the American military people will tell you this. The Russians do not approach war fighting the same way we do, and it's not just, actually, Mohawk, it's not just gaslighting. This is not just gaslighting. The Russians are, to quote George Bush, giving you a view into their soul. They are saying, of course we kill civilians. We're happy to kill civilians. If there's a military inside with civilians, of course we'll hit it. Once you put the military there, you told us it's fine to hit it. We don't care. Now, I should go on. There's one other extra point here. The Russians, they are gaslighting on one point. Russian military doctrine is to kill civilians. The Russians don't hit civilians because there's military inside. The Russians hit civilians because there are civilians inside. It is part of Russian military doctrine. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But and because the Russians believe civilians are legitimate military targets, that's why they don't care when there's military inside a civilian facility, because to the Russian military, they call that a twofer, because they're able to hit the civilians and the military, and both of them are targets they like to hit. They like to hit the civilians because they're trying to break the backbone of the government, because the government sees so many civilian casualties that the government says, okay, we can't take this anymore. What else can we do? We've got to stop this war. And they want to break the backbone of the civilians because, as I was telling you earlier, there's such a civilian effort of standing up to the Russians that they want to break the morale of the civilians. And they think if we kill civilians, it'll break the morale. Well, so far, all it's doing is convincing the Ukrainian civilians to hate the Russians more and to fight back more. So it's not working. But as I said, this, I may even write, I definitely have to do a video about this, because this is one of those, again, whenever I told you guys how I've always liked intelligence work, even though I've never worked in intelligence, but a lot of the political work I do, it's looking at little bits of information and trying to, who was it? Was it Socrates or Aristotle? I forget who it was, about the tail of the elephant, and saying if you go into a dark cave and try to figure out what an elephant is, if you touch the foot, if another guy touches the trunk, another guy touches the ear, what will they think it is? You know what I mean? And a lot of political work is that. It's looking at one piece, two pieces, three pieces of information and trying to understand, trying to derive what's the larger picture. This is one of those examples that tells you the larger picture about the way the Russians think about things. So anyway, pretty sick. I mean, we're beyond World War II at this point. The Russians are not facing World War II. They're not facing, utter annihilation by an enemy. The Ukrainians are akin to what's happening in World War II, but I don't buy it. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Mustard, but yeah. Let me get a little water. I was on a run there. Woo. So are the trolls better on a TikTok now? Usually it takes a little bit of time. They all come flying in and then they get bored after a while, it seems. Oops, sorry. Let me move on here. Okay, we did that. I had to jump back in my notes to bring that thing up. You see why I wanted to bring it up, though. I realized I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot the tweet. Jesus Christ. What we got here, right, the nuclear plant. Ukraine's energy agency says that Russia having shelled the Zapariza nuclear plant damaged its monitoring sensors. Russia shelled 3 radiation monitoring sensors around the site of the plant's dry storage facility for spent nuclear fuel, according to Ukraine's state energy company Energoatom. I'm thinking Energoatom. It's Energoatom. That's cute. It sounds like Greek, actually. Probably does come from the Greek, I'm going to guess. Energoatom. Cute. Now it's impossible to timely detect and respond to possible deteriorating radiation conditions or radiation leakage. So this is coming from the spent nuclear fuel facility, and it's how they monitor that everything's going okay with the nuclear fuel that's already been used, but is still radioactive. This is good. 4 more, excuse me. 4 more ships with Ukrainian grain have left the port of Odessa and Chornomorsk. I always laugh because Chornomorsk sounds like the old Muppets, the way they pretended to talk Swedish, and it was always every time I hear Chornomorsk, I'm like, Chornomorsk. Sorry, Swedes, but the Muppet. Well, my Swedish friends even told me they laughed at the Muppet Show. Chornomorsk. So Odessa is down here, Ukrainian port. Chornomorsk, I don't know. Is it down here a little bit? Let me look on the map really quick, because we've brought up Chornomorsk a few times. Chornomorsk a few times. Chornomorsk, here we go. And I might as well pull it up on the map and get it right. All right. Right south. Oh, literally right south of Odessa. Okay. So Chornomorsk is literally, if this is Odessa, which it is, Chornomorsk is going to be literally where my finger is. I mean, it's on the map, it's this far south of Odessa. So not that tells you anything, but you get the idea. So 2 ports side by side. 4 more ships have left with grain, which is great. The Ukrainian ministry is seeking to enable the ports, meaning to build the port capacity to the point where they can process at least 100 ships a month. Wow. I mean, that's great if they can do it. The Wagner Group, which is the Russian, what do we call them? Not paramilitary. There's a worse word for them. Not vigilante. What do we call the Wagner Group? They're they're mercenaries. But they're cold-blooded murderer mercenaries. Which one of our top generals referred to them as. They're brutal murderers paid for by a Russian oligarch with close ties to Putin, and the Russians use them around the world. No, they're not really Wolverines. No, they're not Wolverines. But the group has recruited over 1,000 Russian prisoners to fight in Ukraine. Recruiters have already visited at least 17 prisons in 10 regions in Russia to hire prisoners and deploy them to the front lines, according to Russian media. The first group was deployed to Ukraine on July 20th. Prisoners were promised freedom after 6 months of fighting. Now, what's interesting about that, is this is an indication that the Russians are having a hard time finding men to fight. Because if they were doing okay finding men to fight, they wouldn't need to go to prisons and to find people who, prisoners, basically. So that's an interesting tidbit on that account. It also means they're going to get some potentially nasty people, which is perfect with the Wagner Group. Finally, final story, Sweden. Well, let me step back. The United Kingdom under Boris Johnson announced several weeks ago. Oh, Yulia's trying to get my attention. Why is Yulia trying to get my attention? Sorry. Let me finish the final story here, and then somebody tell me why Yulia's trying to, other than that I heard it's her birthday, you guys are saying. If it is, happy birthday. So if a Ukrainian soldier got wounded, got taken to a hospital, will the hospital, I don't know. Okay, let me finish this first. So the United Kingdom announced under Boris Johnson that they're going to be training up to 10,000 Ukrainian troops over the next, I don't know, was it 4 months or something like that? And trainers from other governments have now been coming in. The Swedish Defense Ministry is sending up to 120 instructors to help train the Ukrainians in the UK. And I saw there was another country. I can't remember who now. There was another country that was going to do it. I don't recall. Check my text messages. Okie dokie. Sorry, Yulia had some either addition or something to add. One moment. Oh, nice. Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, so today is Yulia's birthday. She's doing a live at 9:30 p.m. tonight, and she's doing a fundraiser for Ukraine. If folks want to go check it out, you can find her account. I'm trying to remember. Your account is just your name, Yulia. Yeah, it's YEWLEEA on TikTok. YEWLEEA. I don't think I can. I'm trying to think. Can I I don't think I can highlight something. Can I? Nope. Sorry, doing one last look here and see. Can I highlight a comment? Nope, I can't. Okay, never mind. But anyway, yeah, so check it out. She normally broadcasts at 9:30 Eastern time. So that's 9:30 New York City time. The UK is training sailors in Scotland as well. And Canada is sending trainers, just Judy Wu says. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. I was just saying that Yulia, how do you write your name? Wait, I'm getting confused. Oh, there's a different Yulia. That's why I saw the other Yulia, different Yulia. This is YEWLEEA. It's that Yulia whose birthday it is. YEWLEEA. So you can check out her Twitter account, see when her next live is there, 9:30 Eastern. There we go. All righty. So that's it, guys. Let's, we got ample time to do question and answer and all of that. I may even turn my lights down a little. Sorry, I've got my little circle light to try to give a little better light for you all, but it gets on my nerves occasionally because it's like, let me look here and see if you've got any, how old are you now, Yulia? Just kidding. I'm going to guess Yulia is significantly younger than me, so it's not even worth making fun of her age yet. I mean, she may mind, but she's way too young. You can tell. There's no danger. Yulia's not exactly hitting, I don't think she's even hitting 40, let alone 50, so there's no problem there. But I'm not trying to goad you into saying, 28? You're 28? Oh my God, I hate you. Dear Lord. She's a child. A very intelligent, very informed child, but a child. My God. Oh, I was going to say someday. Someday I'm not going to be 28 again. I'm thinking someday. Someday I'll be young again. Oh, well, you are very accomplished for a 28-year-old. I will say that. You can't even remember 28? That's because you were having a lot of fun at 28, I'm guessing. All right, let me look at TikTok, see if anybody put questions in the Q&A. One moment here. If Russia shuts down the nuclear plant that provides electricity to other countries, including NATO ones, would NATO do something then? Nope. Nope. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. I mean, they're afraid. They're afraid. They're afraid of Putin. This is why I'm saying, even chemical, biological, and nuclear, I'd be very curious to see what NATO would do. They'd have to do something, but they're terrified of Vladimir Putin. Biden, and unfortunately, I mean, for their own various reasons, thank you, Uncle Crazy. Macron in France is part of this whole we are the world, can't we negotiate thing, okay? Schultz in Germany, there's something corrupt going on. I don't think it's corrupt, but it's corrupt in the sense of the guy's got something going on inside. It could be German business interests. It's something, but he ain't interested in this war. He's not interested in this war. I mean, he really is. He thinks it's undercutting something else he wants to do. Okay. And I think maybe it is just the German business interest. Biden's afraid of Putin. I like Biden. I mean, whatever. He's afraid of Putin. He's terrified of what Putin's going to do. He's terrified of angering Putin, to quote Macron, of humiliating Putin. He's terrified of what was the word they keep using? He doesn't want to escalate. He doesn't want to cause escalation. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? They're literally, the Russians are literally committing a genocide in Ukraine. And we're afraid of them escalating? What are they going to possibly escalate? I mean, somebody said nukes. They're not going to use nukes against us. We've got nukes. They're not using nukes against us. So what are they possibly going to escalate? They're going to use nukes in Ukraine? Well, the Russians sure as hell aren't going to use nukes in Ukraine, or chemical or biological, if we were to make clear to them that unholy hell would come down on their heads if they used nukes, chemical or biological, but if we're not making that clear. So, I mean, I would argue if we're afraid of what Putin's going to do, then we have done a poor job telling Putin what we're going to do. And every time, I mean, it's, again, if I'm the one, well, we didn't vote for the idiot in chief. Let's face it. We had, frankly, the most corrupt American president in all of history who tried to violently overthrow the government. Okay. The man was a freaking traitor. And unfortunately, the Republicans nominated him again. We had him versus Biden. So don't go telling me about how Biden's the idiot in chief when literally you guys put up a traitor. And I'm sorry. I was a Republican. I worked as a Republican on arms control issues against the Soviet Union and defending Donald Trump's corruption and Donald Trump's embrace of North Korea, China, Russia, and his defense of Russia's attack on our election in 2016. I'm sorry. And finally, Donald Trump's not only attempt to steal the election, but to violently overthrow our government. Don't pretend to even speak for Republicans by defending such a thing. That is not Republican. If anything, and I'm sorry, if anything, historically, it would be Democrats who would kind of roll over and go, whatever. But Republicans didn't used to stand for treason and that kind of crap. So I'm serious. It pisses me off because I try not to make this show about partisan politics, especially because we're talking about Ukraine. And it's important that Republicans and Democrats come together on this issue. But it's also, frankly, important that our democracy survives. And there is a serious threat to our democracy. That's another issue that Republicans used to claim they cared about. The defense of our democracy and promoting democracy abroad and defending democracies abroad and stopping the other bad superpowers like Russia. No, it pisses me off because it also pisses me off because you get me into a discussion about Trump, and I don't like having discussions about Trump during this broadcast. But I think it is incredibly important to push back on people like that because they're living in a world where everyone agrees with them, and we're all supposed to kind of politely go, well, I don't think that's right. They need to be told, that seriously, thank you, Red Duke, but they need to be told in no uncertain terms, you're freaking nuts and you're a traitor to your own cause, your own party, and your own country by saying this stuff and defending that man. Because they're traitors. Think of what would happen had Democrats. The thing I always say is, think of what the Republicans would do if Democrats did it. There's your message point. You want to talk about the insurrection? You want to think about this election? What would Republicans do if Democrats tried to violently overthrow the government and the guy who did it was talking about being our nominee again? I mean, they were upset that Hillary Clinton, they made up crimes about Hillary Clinton. For Benghazi, nobody cares about Benghazi. Nothing happened at Benghazi. Absolutely nothing. Compared to the history of American politics and deaths, by the way, abroad, it's horrible when 4 people die. It's 4 people. And they acted like it was the World Trade Center. You know? No, it's just ridiculous. Whereas, ugh. Exactly. I do my Greek like, nah. I hate this crap. But this is why we're going to lose our country. And it's going to be very scary. I mean, and we're all going to lose our democracies. It's going to be very scary. You know, move on. Maybe I was just going to say, maybe you should move on. Thank you. Now, somebody like that, by the way, Ahmad, somebody like that, I would mute. I wouldn't have necessarily banned somebody like that, but I would have muted them. Because that's somebody who might be a regular, but is disagreeing, but being rude in their disagreement. So just FYI. Perfect. 1 minute. Even 5 minutes would have been okay. Let's not underdo it here. You know? All right. Any case. All right. I've got to turn up my, now I've got to put my air conditioning a little stronger because I'm getting hot. Woo. And then we'll go to the next, and then we'll go to the next question. Oh my God. No, that stuff just pisses me off. And you're risking my voice going bad again. Oh, TikTok. The Russians keep bragging about how many Highmars they've destroyed. Do we know the real count actually is? So far, we think the real count is 0, to be honest. The Highmars are the rocket systems we provided them that can only go 40 to 60 miles, but could go 200 miles if we gave them the correct missiles or the correct rockets. The Russians have claimed they've destroyed like 6 of them or something. There's been absolutely no proof. Even more so, the last two, exactly, I have some water for my throat. The last two that the Russian claimed to have destroyed, they claim, thank you, Annette. They claim that thank you guys. They claim that the Russians put out a video showing the destruction of the Highmars. And what they did was they showed a video of a drone or something coming in and flying into the 2nd floor of a big building. And their suggestion was that the Highmars, which is a big truck with rockets on the back, was somehow driven to the 2nd floor of a building. And it wasn't like a warehouse, it was a building. And everybody kind of went, I don't think that's what you think it is. And that was their proof. So the Russians just kind of do whatever they can. Now, the new Ukrainian drone, the new Iranian drones is another question. Aqualimus is asking, do you think the new Iranian drones will be a major threat? From what I'd read yesterday, there's these, what was it, Shahid something, 149 or some 163, I don't know, some drones that are older that the Iranians are reportedly giving the Russians, but they're drones that are 45 Highmars. They've only got 16. They literally said 45. Yulia is saying they said they destroyed 45. That's going to be tough. I was going to say, you've got 20. To be honest, the latest count was 16 on the ground. So I'm not even convinced you've got 20, but even if you have 20, it's not 45 exactly. But the Russians just lie. It's about, and frankly, we're seeing it in a lot of fascist, thank you, James. We're seeing it in a lot of fascist movements today where they've embraced, I mean, the term fake news was used to denigrate the actual news. And it was used to convince you that something was true that wasn't true. I mean, we're in a real culture of mainstreaming lies lately, and the Russians are very good at it. They're very good at it. We don't know if North Korea is sending troops. There was that report that the North Koreans offered 100,000 troops, like something crazy, which frankly sounds like something they would do. But now, mind you, I'd be really curious. The Russians freaked out enough when the Russian troops got to Ukraine. The reports were from the Russian soldiers themselves that they kind of freaked out because they looked around and went, "Oh my God, these people are really rich." I mean, the streets were paved and beautiful, right? The homes looked nice. They looked in the windows and they saw people. I remember one guy even said, "Thank you, Yarburg." Was it Yarburg? I mean, Yarburg, Daniel? I'll go with that. But they were looking in the windows and they saw Ukrainians watching like some fighting match that they would normally watch back home. So they were like, they're just like us. I mean, I know you guys aren't like the Russians, but from the Russian perspective, they're like, these guys aren't NZs. They're like us, and they actually live better than we do. And they were told, the Ukrainians, the Russian soldiers were told that the Ukrainians were, living under oppression and they were so unhappy. And they're like, we're literally looking in the windows at very wealthy people, indoor toilets, but seriously, at very wealthy people watching sports, which is what we wish we were doing, and we're liberating them. And the best part was when they said, they keep telling us they don't want to be liberated. Could you imagine? We're here to liberate you. And the old lady going like, here's some sunflower seeds, But in any case, the North Korea thing. So can you imagine? Thank you, Flower Lady. Can you imagine what it would be like for North Korean troops to fight in Ukraine and to see the standard of living in Ukraine? I don't know. I mean, and imagine the welcome back. Imagine the bounty. Not even I don't mean a bounty, but I mean the reward or the award that. Yeah, let's do it in a minute, Yulia. Come by in a minute. You know what? Come by at the end of my thing. Usually, if you're around still, come by at like 10 after. Let's do it that way. I don't want to interrupt. Let's do it at the end. I don't want to sort of interrupt. I want this to be this. Sorry, Yulia wants to do a quick pitch for her thing tonight for the fundraiser, which I think is a great idea. But I'd rather do it closer to quarter after when I stop, because then she can do her thing and then we can sort of close with that. But I want to stick with sort of our roll on the serious stuff first. I mean, fundraising serious, but you know what I mean. But I don't know. I'd be curious. If well, first of all, I was just saying a reward. We would absolutely put a reward up for the North Koreans themselves, just like the Ukrainians did. We may have helped did for the Russians, and they told them, bring us your ship, bring us your boat, bring us your helicopter, bring us your plane. Well, imagine for the North Koreans simply saying, each soldier defect and we'll give you $10,000 on the spot. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, North Korea's got to be far worse than Russia, John. I would think. I mean, the standard of living's got to be. I mean, granted, you can. Well, that's true. If you get into Russian villages and things, may not be doing great, but North Korea overall has got to be worse than Russia, I would think. Well, nonetheless, compared to Ukraine, they're going to die if they see Ukraine. They're going to be like, "Oh my God, they've gone to heaven." Most who do it for $5. That's interesting. Yeah. All right, hang on. Let me look for more questions. I put more stuff in the shop. I'll show you the shop in a minute. The Aravosis.com store. I've got even more fun Ukrainian. I put the sweatshirts in because you guys wanted the sweatshirts. Oh, actually, okay. I swear to God, we're not going to go on the shop totally yet. We can do the shop at the end. But I forgot what I had. And because we were talking about what goes on the front of the sweatshirts, and you guys were talking about putting the trident. Well, I decided to do something different. Front of the sweatshirt. Am I right? This is one of the official Ukrainian patches. I've seen this. A lot of them have it on their shoulder with everything. I don't think I've seen it here. With them, I've seen it on the shoulder, but I forgot I had this. So I've been putting this on the front of this. You'll see two sweatshirts. They both have this, and one has the trident on the back, and the one has the really cool thing, that the one that I like, that has the Ukrainian flag, the trident, and then Ukraine in Ukrainian, because personally I love stuff in Ukrainian. It's funny as an American, because foreigners, non-Americans, like in Europe, they don't understand that. We're like, where do I, like in France, I was like, I want to buy clothes that have French on them, like French t-shirts, like French funny t-shirts, but in French. And they were like, eh. So I would often go to department stores. Like in Italy, I had a beautiful salt, sugar and flour container, ceramic from Italy that's just gorgeous. But I get stuff like that because they're really, anyway. But yes, that was my idea. I suddenly remembered I had this flag and I went, oh my God. And also it's a beautiful, the color is so, stark. Anyway, let me keep going with the news and then we'll get to that in a minute. With North Macedonia giving their T-72 tanks, which they did, by the way. Hold on, I meant to mention this the other day. I don't know if I did. North Macedonia is giving several, at least, T-72. I didn't realize it was T-72 tanks, but tanks to Ukraine. And apparently, they're tanks that Ukraine had given North Macedonia in 2001. I read. I don't quite know why they were given the tanks back then by the Ukrainians or sold to them, whichever it was. But the Macedonians are giving them back, which I thought was kind of, I just liked it. I thought it was really, I just thought it was really beautiful. Excuse me, I'm burping on you guys. I thought it was really beautiful in a way because it wasn't sort of like, oh yeah, those crappy tanks we're giving back to you. It was more, you helped us when we needed them. We're going to give them back to you to help you. It just, I even got chills telling you. It just felt, kind of a nice. But anyway, your question about the tanks was, are there any other European countries the U.S. can call on to donate their former Soviet equipment? Well, that has been the plan from the beginning. And it's been happening. From the beginning, the goal actually was to have former Soviet equipment go to the Ukrainians because the Ukrainians already know how to use it. Because they were part of the Soviet Union, they ended up inheriting a lot of Soviet military equipment, the MiG fighter jets. I mean, they literally use Soviet equipment. So we wanted to provide them with the Soviet stuff because no training was necessary on either how to use it, but how to keep it up, maintenance. They had the artillery for it, et cetera, right? So that has been, I'd be curious today to see like a tally of what's been given, but I know for a fact, a lot of the stuff given, tanks and other things, has been, I can't even remember now some of the stuff, like some of it came from, I can't even remember now, Slovakia, Poland, obviously a lot. I just can't remember the stuff, but yes, that has been the goal from the beginning. That's been the goal from the beginning. Yep. Oh, and good. Okay. Mods, you're doing well on TikTok. You're getting thanks from folks, so thank you. That's an interesting question. Roshan says, former Soviet equipment is well over 50 years old. How much is functional? Apparently, a lot of it is. Apparently, a lot of it is. I mean, that's what, because, I mean, they're using it. I don't know what one has to do to keep equipment running, but, I know, because to us, like, I think of something 50 years old. I think of a car from 1970. And I think, wow, you've got to put a lot of work into that car to keep it running. But for military stuff, bleeding in there. There's two people speaking. Only one person speaking over here. Anyway, do I think the Russians can redeem themselves and be forgiven within 50 years? Robin, here's the thing. Robin asked that on TikTok. Here's the thing. I think in general, people who, as I said about Amnesty International, people who seek contrition can be forgiven and will be, in my view, I don't care how, for example, thank you, Netlin, for that. For example, these like neo-Nazis and things who have left and have gone and work now to work with schools to help keep kids out of these extremist movements. That's amazing. I love somebody like that, right? I mean, of course, he's done horrible things before, but that's amazing. So like, thank you, El. So I'm very, but I think in the Russian case, you'd have to have what happened with the fall of the Soviet Union. Russia had a unique opportunity, not quite a revolution, but maybe akin to a revolution, that they were able to start with a clean slate, and the whole country became a kleptocracy, of thieves. I mean, thieving government. I mean, and mafia. And then what happens? Putin comes in, and the dictatorship is back. So they had an opportunity. So I feel like you would need some kind of huge break. You'd need Putin to get overthrown by somebody and who has support, who says this is ridiculous. We're not going to be a dictatorship. We're not going to constantly prop up a dictatorship by pretending like the West is the enemy. The best thing that could have happened to Russia would have been treating the West as a friend and not an enemy. Their economic. I mean, Russia needs to grow. It's like Greece and other countries joining the EU. It helps a lot of those countries joining the EU. Less advanced. They do get something out of it. Russia could have gotten a lot out of it by tying itself more to Europe economically, and they screwed up. So I feel like, I'd be willing to forgive the Russians if literally there were a revolution, a people's revolution saying this sucks, and the new government says, oh my God, we can't believe, and we're putting those people on trial. You know what I mean? It's akin, let me put it this way. It's akin to saying, could you forgive Chileans after Pinochet, right? Well, when the next, government came, or in Argentina, the same thing, and put the other guys on trial, yes, then I could say this is a legitimate government, and these are a people. Thank you, inspired woman. These are a people who are contrite as well. But I'm not. Having said that, Russia has ruined it for another generation of Americans, 2 generations, right? I mean, I remember, I don't know, and it was always Glenn Greenwald doing it, but I remember people 10 years ago, everything with Russia over the last 10 years. Remember, even Trump, Russia. Everything was like, why do you treat Russia as the enemy? They're such good, they're such a good country. Putin's great. And now all of a sudden, and what Glenn would do, I've told you this before, Glenn would like to make his comments about, you think it's the Soviet Union. You're stuck in the 1980s. And it was like, sure, Glenn, the Russian government's really nice people now. Well, an entire new generation of kids, and now young adults, not kids, have been, actually, I'd say people up to 40, age 40 maybe, have been introduced to what Russia is, to what the Russian government is, to what kind of evil that government can do. And they've now seen it firsthand. Now, it's taking time. Young people especially are still kind of divided on the whole thing. But for my generation, forget it. I mean, we weren't thrilled after the Soviet years. This has shown us that nothing's changed since the Soviet Union. I mean, nothing here. It's the same mindset. They're just as dangerous. And it's the same mindset. The world, take over the world by force. Oh, Nathan's little buddies are back. Take over the world by force kind of thing. But yeah. So I don't know. They're in Ukraine. Forget it. They've lost Ukraine for 100 years. I mean, Putin created in Ukraine exactly what he gaslightingly claimed he was fighting. Putin claimed he was going to Ukraine to stop the anti-Russian prejudice and there might have been a little bit, but if anything, there was anti-Ukrainian prejudice from the Russian speakers. And now he's created not a generation, 43 million people who think his country is crap and who think he's crap. I mean, who think they're akin to the Enzis, is what you've convinced these people you are. That ain't great for public relations for a country. So yes, Nathan's buddies are always predictable. They do. Well, they wait till the end. Yesterday, they were all over the place. It was terrible. They were just like nonstop. What I don't understand is why YouTube's are. We're talking really quick about the trolls over on YouTube. It's the same trolls every day. We don't get anybody else. I don't understand why YouTube isn't better at policing this. Because seriously, how freaking hard is it to design some kind of algorithm that can catch these guys when they're also posting the same kind of things every day, you know? And I'm not even going to repeat it. It's the same weird, you know, SEX kind of weird things. Although I did love the guy we had yesterday, whatever his name is, Ali, who was looking for a woman to marry me. that was at least original. It's like, hey, Nathan, we got an offer for you. What do I think about Iran? God, you'd have to be more detailed than that. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure, but I'm not thrilled about them getting nukes. I think they have to be stopped before they get nukes. I think it's not easy doing that. Because when I had looked into this stuff way more in depth, but we're talking in the 2000s, even back then, the thoughts were that bombing Iran wouldn't be enough to stop them from getting nuclear weapons, that it was going to take boots on the ground. It was going to take soldiers on the ground invading the country with tens of thousands of troops minimum to get them, you know. Sirens are going off in Kosovo. Serbia is going, oh, Jesus. If the Serbs invade Kosovo, they're in. Now, okay, this gets interesting, okay? The other day, we had what looked like a brewing war-ish, but not quite war between Serbia and Kosovo, okay? Serbia, you'll recall, is the country that tried to commit ethnic genocide, ethnic cleansing of Kosovo. It was trying to, Serbia is Christian. They're Orthodox like me and the Greeks and the Russians and the rest of us sort of Slavic types, many of us Slavic types, even though Greeks aren't Slavic, but the rest of you are. And the Kosovars are Muslim. And Serbia tried to wipe them out. They literally tried to kick out, it was like 700,000 people out of the country, just ethnically cleanse the entire country. Literally saying, you're this ethnic group. We don't want you here anymore. Get the F out, right? And NATO came in and blew the crap out of Serbia. Serbia to this day still blames NATO for it. The Russians still bring it up as a talking point. Again, to show you how the Russians think, they bring it up as a talking point of something we should be ashamed of. Oh, look what you did in Serbia. And I'm like, yeah, look what we did in Serbia. Are you kidding? Yeah. We saved an entire country of people from genocide. Yeah, I was totally okay with that. Absolutely okay with that. But what happened now the other day, stupid stuff about license plates and everything else, some kind of shot or something fired from the Serbian side of the border. The Kosovo side of the border started bringing in a lot of military police, lots of people like that to the border. And NATO weighs in, not NATO, but KFOR, it is NATO, right? They're NATO peacekeepers. The NATO peacekeepers weigh in and basically say, my read of the statement, and I don't think this is an aggressive read, my read of the statement is the NATO peacekeepers said, we are going to enforce the peace, and if it requires us to bomb the hell out of Serbia again, we will. Oh, shit, Yulia, I'm trying to... do it again, Yulia. I'll accept you. But first, I want to find out what's going on with, feel free to chime in, but I want to see thank you, David. I like CNN too, though. CNN is very good. I do think CNN is good, and I always sort of get on people for saying it's not. Sorry, Yulia, I didn't mean to knock you off there. Kosovo, let me see what's going on here. Real quick, the news, and then we'll get Yulia talking about tonight. Kosovo detains Russian journalist at the border. Oh, yeah. Kosovo detains Russian journalist at the border. Sure. Yeah. I guarantee you they weren't Russian journalists. They were probably Russian saboteurs. Guarantee you. I'm not finding anything from a couple hours ago. I've got to unplug there we go. I had to unplug my microphone so we can hear you, or I can hear you. There you are. Hello. We are just looking into so there's no news about this. You know what? I'm going to hold on real quick. I'm going to look. We're looking into whether Serbia is about to invade Kosovo. Oh, let me say really quick, folks, before we get into this, the reason I was bringing this up was, somebody brought it up. This would be a very interesting time for Serbia to cause trouble because Serbia is going to think that NATO is preoccupied because of what's going on in Ukraine, so that we don't have the weapons, we don't have the manpower, as if, hello, the way we blew up Serbia last time was cruise missiles. We haven't given Ukraine any of our cruise missiles. We've got more than enough to police Serbia, but it would be an interesting time to cause trouble because same thing for Russia, frankly. It's the kind of time that Russia doesn't need. Russia doesn't need other conflicts going on like China taking their land or whatever. Anyway, Yulia, tell people about your thing while I look through my thing here to see if I can find anything on Kosovo.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you, John, for giving me a minute of your time.
That's right.
Birthday, and I am Ukrainian. I live in the United States for the last 11 years, and I've been doing
You guys wait a
a lot
sec.
of awareness to Ukraine in terms of historical, political, geopolitical, and kind of like cultural context. And so today, on my birthday, I would like to ideally try and raise enough money for 3 people. They're not goggles. They're kind of like these iPad-looking things that you attach to ambulances, and ambulances can see at night. Because one of the things is that ambulances drive during the day and they deliver supplies to people in hotspots. But during the night, they kind of patch up soldiers, and they have to drive blindsided because they can't turn on their lights because Russians will see them and potentially blow them up. My dad's former employee, he is one of those ambulance drivers on the front lines. We were able to buy him one of those those things, but they about 4,000 euros. So if we were to raise about $10,000, we would be able to buy 3, but at least one would be great, and that would be the best present for me for my birthday.
Okay. So are you going to be doing it during your live tonight? Is that how they can give, or what's the?
Yes, during my live,
Sasha.
I will be doing news about Ukraine.
Okay.
And attempting to raise the money.
Okay. Tell people really quick how to find you. Is your live for tonight already broadcast? Is it already a thing on your profile?
No, so I will create that right now. I probably don't, but
Oh, okay.
But I will do that because since there might be new audience.
Yeah, it's a nice way because then people get notified. In principle, haha. You know.
Yeah.
It is her birthday. Yes, it is her birthday today. You got cut off a little bit. Somebody asked if you said it was your birthday. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's my birthday. For my birthday, I would like to donate money to Ukraine.
Exactly. No, that's great. That's great. All right, folks. So it's 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is 9:30 p.m. New York City time on TikTok. And she will also set up the little thing on her profile so it shows when it's coming up. I find it useful too because it also helps people for their time zone. Surprisingly, I've had people West Coast US even ask me like, okay, but I'm in California. What time is that here? And I'm like, really? But not everybody gets time zones. So,
Yeah.
All right.
I will set a reminder, and I
Okay.
will also be like YouTube and Twitch under the same name.
Oh, perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna see folks go join her tonight, and then we'll do our normal chat. Thanks, Yulia. And I don't know how to hang up on people, so you know how to do it. There we go. So are folks seeing anything with the Kosovo stuff? I'm just not seeing anything. Her name is, well, Yulia is her name, like Julia, but it's Ukrainian. Yulia. Hang on, I'm going to put my, I'm back. Let me put my AC on a little. I'm getting hot. Well, see, it also gets hot with the windows open because I have bad insulation. Although it is beautiful today. You can finally appreciate my garden since the weather is being nice. You can see it's been hotter than hell, but my plants love it. So actually it's very funny. I may have been telling you guys, I got these whatever they're called. What are they? Geraniums or whatever. But it's funny because the thing is, these things, they're 3 inches across. They're totally cool. We got the seeds from my mom's park district across the street from her place. So I grow them here, but they got so big, they broke. They literally broke down. Marigolds, forgetting what they are, marigolds. They got so big, they broke. So I had to cut them off and put them here. It's 9:30 p.m. New York City time. So that's Eastern time, US, New York City. God only GMT. Are you being funny, Russian? GMT, UTC. You jest. Actually, Harvey's the one who used to tell people. Yeah, exactly, Flint. Thank you. Anyway, is anybody seeing anything about the Kosovo stuff? Because I really am curious about that. I'm not seeing it necessarily in my Oh, good. There's a shooting event over in Tyson's Corner Mall in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC. My kids' friends are texting. They are or were just at Tyson's Corner Mall, and there is another shooter lockdown at Nordstrom's. Just had a shooting there a month ago. No details yet. Jesus Christ. Mind you, there was a shooter, can confirm, am locked in the back of a store now. One guy is actually there right now. Oh, this guy's for real. He's a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, which is a huge think tank here in DC. He's actually in one of the stores at the shopping mall, and they're locked down in the back of the store. Jesus. Somebody else says we were able to get out through an emergency exit, pure chaos. Jesus Christ. You know, it never stops. Never stops. This is a huge kind of high-end shopping mall outside of Washington, Northern Virginia. It's a good, 20 minutes, Tyson's Corners. It's a good 20 minutes outside of DC, but it's definitely the Washington, DC suburbs. Oh, we usually have 3 a day. I don't even know it. I can't count them anymore, but that's insane. Wow. Like I said, I was just looking for stuff about Kosovo. Vienna, yeah, or McLean, wherever, yeah. Jeez, people will stop shopping in malls. Oh, here we go. Oh, that was the journalist. Yes, I saw that story. Thank you, Rasmus. Yes, Reuters is saying Kosovo's interior ministry said on Saturday it has arrested a Russian journalist at the border on suspicion that she could be a spy. Yeah. Let me just tell it for everybody here. She is a spy. Let's just get that out of the way. The Russian on the border of Kosovo, 3 days after they almost went to war, is not a tourist. No. She's a spy, and she's probably a saboteur. So yes, let me just put that out there for everybody. The remnants of my cappuccino. Yeah, horrible. I'm on Twitter, and I follow a lot of defense folks. And a guy I follow from Defense One said his kids were texting with their friends about it. And somebody who works at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, where I had an internship here in DC, they're a big deal. I mean, they're a big deal. He works there. His Twitter account mentions his work. He's there locked in the back of a store because they have a shooter warning. So it's real. Yeah, there's no question that it's real. Whether it's a real shooter is another question that we don't know. You know what I mean? But we know they're under an active shooter lockdown. That we know. But wow. So I'm just looking here. Yeah, so Kosovo, we know that about Kosovo. Don't know anything. I'm not seeing anything else, though. All right. France is bracing for a 4th heat wave this summer. Jesus, as the worst drought on record left dry villages without safe drinking water. Whoa. Because the villages must be using the streams from the mountains or whatever it is. Holy cow. The villages don't have safe drinking water, and farmers have warned of milk shortages. My God. Wow. Senate votes happening now with VP Kamala Harris breaking the tie vote, the Senate has passed the landmark Inflation Reduction Act, which makes huge investments aimed at fighting climate change and expanding healthcare coverage while lowering the deficit. Excellent. Now, I'm curious. Let's see how many Republicans voted for it is what I'm curious. Let us see. 1 second, guys. Let's see. We're in the part of the show where we hang out now, so no more Ukraine unless it's like, Kosovo going to war. Oops. I'm watching Lock and Key, which I'm just loving. I never knew about the show. Absolutely loving it. It's another show I can't believe nobody told me about, except one of you, I think, said you did tell me, and I ignored you. Oh, let me go and see the vote tally. Hang on. Because I had CNN on, so it's in my memory here. Let's see. Here we go. Oh. Oh, the Republicans voted against it. See, this is the bullshit. Every single Republican voted against it. And this bill is to help climate change. It's to help drug prices for seniors. It's to expand healthcare coverage for everybody. I mean, this is the problem, is literally they won't vote for anything. Anything. It is all about, it's 50-50, which means it was all Kamala Harris had to break, because the vice president can break a tie in the US Senate. So she cast the deciding vote. So it's 51-50, even though we only have 100 senators. That's the way our system works. She can only vote if there's a tie. But it's really horrific, because this is what bothers me is Democrats. We had 2 Democrats who couldn't care less, right? I mean, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, they were happy to tie Biden's agenda up in knots last year. They didn't care. On the Republican side, it's always 50 Republicans willing to vote against every single piece of legislation. Every single piece of legislation. You know? Oh, someone saying here the Republicans removed a provision that would have capped the price of insulin at $35 a vial, whereas now it's horrifically expensive. I mean, I just, I don't, this is the stuff I don't, and this is the stuff that scares me. And this is what's so dangerous. At least if you had Democrats trying to embrace fascism, it would be like trying to herd cats. Every Democrat would go a different direction, and you'd have Democrats complaining. When Republicans try to do it, it's like, boom. Republicans try to vote against something good, they all do it. When Donald Trump says a lie, they all defend it. It's just like boom, boom, boom. I just, what do you do? What do you do? I mean, I really don't know what to, because this is what makes me so scared is you don't have any of them. None of them break. They're always 100% in lockstep. God. Well, they kept the provision allowing the drug price negotiations, but even that provision's BS, because I read it doesn't start for another 3 or 4 years or something crazy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's something, but give me a break. God. The insulin prices will go down for people on Medicare, but not for the privately insured. It should have been for the privately insured too. God. Well, I don't know. Anyway, they drive me crazy with this stuff. Absolutely crazy with this stuff. Anywho, I was going to look here. But anyway, so we're done talking about Ukraine. I was going to look really quick. So I promise I won't keep presenting my new shop every day, but since I just opened it 5 days ago, I did put, I did a couple things. Oh, I did a couple things because you guys asked now. Okay, so now when you go, for example, that's the one shirt that I really liked that a lot of you, we've been selling a lot, the kids drawing. Now you can get the shirt in multiple colors because you guys said you wanted multiple colors. So now you can. And I've gone through myself and pretty much tested the colors. I mean, online at least. Actually, online, the colors all look amazing. I mean, they're really, at least online, like this kid's print in general works like with practically every freaking color. But so I've gone through and put more colors. I've put more colors for everything that would work, because colors don't work with everything. You know what I mean? But I've got more colors. I just put this one up right before we came on. This is a official Ukrainian army beret badge. So it's the badge that goes on the beret for the Ukrainian army. And I've decided to put it as the thing on a t-shirt. As the thing on the t-shirt, I'll get close I'll zoom in so you can see what it is. Because I think it's cool as a, actually, I may even have a nice picture of it on my phone. I like it. I'm going to like buy 10,000 of these, of my own shirts. I'm convinced. Because I like them all. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Oh, wait, I'm trying to find, where's the damn higher resolution? Come on. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I mean, this is what it looks like, which is really cool. So that'll be the emblem on the shirt. And I'm having Vlad buy some of these too, the actual, so he can get me the, not just the pictures, to get me the thing, because I think people I'd find it cool. It's made from brass. I find it very cool. So anyway, check it out. It's erevosis.com, but I put several new, that's new. And I put the sweatshirts as well now. So now you go real quick, but now you go, and the sweatshirt, you've got the Ukrainian flag patch, which is an official patch, by the way. The Ukrainian flag patch. And then on the back, you've got that one, as you guys asked. And then the other sweatshirt, hang on. The other sweatshirt is same thing. It's the Ukrainian flag patch, which is a military patch. I mean, it's an official military flag. And then the back has the trident, which you guys told me you wanted me to do, so I did it. So let's see if anybody buys them. But anyway, I think that's it for the new stuff. Yeah. But I've got new designs. Syndicate sent me some new designs. Actually, you know what I did? Let me show you this. This is another one. Since now we're just in the chatting part of the show, but I thought of something because you guys had mentioned this yesterday. Okay, I did this yesterday. So remember yesterday, we were talking about the design that had a stork. I kept calling it a swan. It's not a swan, it's a stork. The stork is the national bird for the Ukrainians. And it means peace, among other things. And the headline is a famous Ukrainian saying, which is soldiers never die. And it's this whole concept of, because they're always remembered and they're always revered and this kind of thing. I took it, but the concern was the stork was on top of what looked like a dead body, which, is a little creepy for a t-shirt. I still think it's creepy for a t-shirt, meaning I'm not comfortable selling it, because also I'm making a profit on this. You know what I mean? I mean, Ukraine's getting half of it, but I'm getting half of it. I can't make a profit on a shirt that looks like it has a dead soldier. I can't do that. And even putting on a t-shirt, I feel it's cheap, But anyway, check this out that I did. Because you guys like the stork, I kept the stork. And it still says, warriors never die, or soldiers never die. And kept the kid's signature, Miroslava, on the bottom. I really like it. I may make the, the wings just a touch darker for the t-shirt, because you have to adjust the strength of the color for printing. But I'm thinking I may just do that one, because it still is it's the top half of her shirt, frankly. It's the top half of her shirt, and I think it's true to the idea. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. I'm having too much fun with the shop. I'm going to have to start doing real work soon. North Korea. I heard North Korea had offered that on the back of a sweatshirt. Well, see, I'm not sure for is that a sweatshirt material or is that a t-shirt? I felt like that was a t-shirt material, I kind of felt like it was that would be a pretty t-shirt. I wasn't thinking sweatshirt, but we could. We could. If I put that on the back of it is definitely t-shirt. That's definitely t-shirt. For sure. Well, we can try t-shirt and see how people like it. If people buy it as a t-shirt, then I'll do it as a t-shirt. And once again, I'll look for what colors. I'll get rid of the background, and which I may have already done, and look at what colors work. Well, the thing is, this is the child's drawing. So I'm trying to put up the kid's own drawings, and a stork is the Ukrainian national bird, which is not just a symbol of peace, but it's a very revered symbol in Ukraine. You will talk about them. I've seen pictures on Twitter. A stork landed on like a building nearby when they were fighting, and the soldiers were like, "Oh my God!" It's an omen of sorts. It's such a revered symbol in Ukraine. I don't think for us it would probably be an eagle. Eagle in general, but an eagle, if you were in the middle of battle and an eagle flew over, you'd be like, "Oh my God!" Even for us, that would be an omen. So that's the kind of. Well, and t-shirts, that's true. It's a little early for t-shirts anyway right now. Yep, V-necks. I know they're not offering me the options yet for lots of other things to sell. So someday we'll get to V-necks and V-neck t-shirts and V-neck everything. Where somebody is already Flint and Wendy both are sort of working up some t-shirt, some possible sunflower stuff. Because I definitely wanted to do something sunflower. We're going to do a sunflower thing. We are. I mean, Flint was working on a photo I had, and Wendy was gonna do some other stuff that she's got. I mean, poli-sci history, the problem is that the latter is something that some people have bastardized, Now, I will say this. I love Americana for my logos and things like that. For the longest time, my blog, the archive is still up, America blog, and the address is americablog.com. The theme is America. It's American politics. It's world politics too. But I had the flag. I've got the Statue of Liberty. My colors are red, white, and blue. Like so I did it on purpose because I don't think the flag belongs to just one political party. But it depends. I mean, it depends. I think wearing an entire flag that your whole body is a flag is a bit much, but it's unfortunately, it's unfortunate it's been co-opted. Yes. So it makes you feel like you look like a crazy person, which is sad because it shouldn't be that way. Anyway. Oh, thanks, Flint. Okay. I'll take a look. Okay. I will take a look. Oh, hello. Toruska, I remember your name before. Welcome. Where are you from? I don't remember. Where do you mind saying where are you in Ukraine? Or where are you from in Ukraine? Perhaps better. Either way. Sorry, just looking at folks on TikTok. And I keep forgetting to tell people. I always forget to tell people. All right, see you guys. I always forget to tell people that I'm on TikTok here and then I'm on YouTube and Twitch and the rest of you there, because it's sort of like, why am I looking back and forth? But sorry, just looking at the comments on the bottom, see if Turuska tells us where they are from. Oh, anyway, I'm going to go in a second. So I'm going to turn my light off because it's annoying me. Harika? Am I Harika? I don't know. I try. Oh, there I am. Turning off the light a little bit. Although it is bad. See, it's bad with the light off. This is what I don't want to do it. I'm tired. I don't want to do a recap today. I'm tired of my voice is still being goofy. Like my voice was actually worse today. You know what? Oh, Ivano Frankis. Oh, yeah, you've told me this before, right? Because you're from the east, south of Lviv, closer to, like, my friend Vlad is in Uzhhorod. So you're north of there, I want to think. I'm pretty sure. The link to my shop, well, I'll tell you right now, it's eravosis.com, my last name.com. But the link you will find, there is a link in my profile, my TikTok profile that says beacons. Click it. It's one of those links like Linktree or whatever. There's a number of links in it. The very first one is my store. So you could always find it that way if it's easier. Yep. But otherwise, it's my last name.com. So the name you see at the top of my profile, eravosis.com, is how you'll find it. All right, guys, I'm going to go just to preserve the voice. So tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, and the sun is starting to encroach on me. It's getting hotter and hotter in here. So I have to go close my curtains. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the heart-inspired woman. Thank you all as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time US. That's 6 p.m. New York time. At the mat. I shouldn't salute because I don't know how to salute. I didn't mean to do that. That was more like, I don't know what that was. I'm trying to see. All right. Bye, guys.